The different meanings of a dream of betrayal. At first glance, the different meanings of a dream of betrayal seem all negative. But in reality, we can only be let down if we expected the wrong things from people. While some of our expectations make a lot of sense, most don't. And this is the key to truly understanding and accepting the different meanings of a dream involving betrayal. What does it mean to dream of betrayal? The dream may symbolize feelings of being let down or betrayed by someone in your waking life. It doesn't have to be overly dramatic. It can be in the small things. Whatever the case may be, you feel that you have been disappointed by somebody you trusted. Maybe a person you know has let you down because they didn't keep their word or they didn't follow through. You may be thinking that this is a small thing, but your subconscious actually picks up a lot and things can build up over time. Another way you can read this dream is that it could also involve a feeling of a sense of betrayal or disappointment. This is often true if you dream that it was your best friend or family member who betrayed you. This betrayal can take many different forms in your daily waking life. It can involve money, or it can involve just simply being there for you at a trying time. The dream could reflect your guilt about something you have done or said that has hurt someone else. In this case, your dream is actually a projection of your guilt. It was actually you who let other people down, but to make yourself feel better, your subconscious frames you as the victim. It is also possible that the dream is simply expressing a general sense of anxiety or uncertainty about your relationships. It's not like you have been let down, but you're so afraid that people will disappoint you that you are feeling all this unexpressed or unarticulated anxiety. There seems to be an issue with you and other people when it comes to trust. Overall, it's important to identify any underlying feelings or issues you may have and use that as a context so you can properly get a grip on what your dream of betrayal actually means in your daily waking life. A lot of the times, it's not what it seems. What does it mean to dream about your friend betraying you? This type of dream imagery can point to unresolved issues or conflicts with the person that you're dreaming about. This may not necessarily have to do with the person stabbing you in the back or leaving you hanging. Instead, it may have everything to do with your expectations regarding that person. You have to remember that the people that can hurt us the most are the ones who we allow to be really close to us. A lot of the times, we get hurt because of our own self-imposed expectations. They're just doing their thing. They're just being themselves. But we trusted them so much, or we put so much emotional responsibility on them that we feel that we can demand all these things from them. But in reality, this is just playing out in our heads. So be very careful if this is what's going on, because if that's the case, then your sense of betrayal is actually just an outward working of your insecurity or inability to trust. What does it mean to dream about a family member betraying you? The meaning of this type of dream imagery is not much different from that of a good friend betraying you. But the key difference is the level of expectation. We cannot choose our family members, but we can choose our friends. And this is why family members give us a lot of anxiety. We feel that we have a tremendous amount of obligation to them, but at the same time, if given a choice, a lot of us wouldn't want to have anything to do with that family member. The disconnect between our personalities as well as our shared experiences are just so big that, given a chance, we'd rather not be related. When you dream about a family member betraying you, a lot of these issues bubble up to the surface. And the question is, are you going to allow yourself to focus on a sense of duty and give more leeway to family members, or are you going to view them with the same lens as those you have decided to become friends with, or your coworkers? You have to understand that, generally speaking, when it comes to family, you have to be more tolerant. You have to be able to take a lot more abuse, a lot more abuse or punishment, because they are family. I know that that's hard to hear, but given the fact that these are your blood, it kind of goes with the territory, and it's still, at the end of the day, it's your choice. But usually people give family a lot more leeway. The question is, are you setting healthy boundaries? It's one thing to get stepped over and treated like an emotional doormat. It's another to expect unrealistic boundaries. So know the difference. What do dreams of betrayal are common to who? Not all people experience betrayal dreams at the same frequency. Some are more susceptible to this type of night vision. People who are experiencing fear or have trust issues when it comes to family members, maybe your dad left your life a long time ago, or you didn't even know one of your parents to begin with. These can have reverberations throughout your life. Whether you acknowledge them or not doesn't matter. They are all too real because they involve issues of trust, belonging, acceptance. This is why it's really important to start with this type of emotional sensitivity when you see dreams involving betrayal in your night visions, because your subconscious is trying to speak to certain aspects of your persona that you may or may not be comfortable with. But sooner or later, if you'd like to mature as an adult, responsible person, you will have to confront these. You will have to look them straight in the eye and make peace with them. Is this easy? Of course not. But they are absolutely necessary. The good news is you can take baby steps in resolving these, and dealing with betrayal dreams give you a great, shall we say, avenue or pathway to higher and higher levels of self-healing. What is the meaning of a dream of betrayal by a partner? Again, you can only be let down depending on what you expect from a person. If you just met somebody and you're just basically trying to figure out what your relationship is all about and what it truly means, then you're probably less likely to get really hurt when this person turns out to be somebody else. On the other hand, if you feel that you already know this person and you've opened yourself up as far as your hopes, wishes, dreams, insecurities, and sense of inadequacy may be, then it's justified, you'll be justified to feel betrayed. But the question is, at the end of the day, you will only get hurt depending on how much permission you give the other person. A lot of people like to imagine themselves as victims that are being completely blindsided and surprised by the deceit, deception, and fraud perpetrated by their romantic partner. This is a very comforting self-image, but 9 times out of 10, it's not true. I know it hurts to hear, but it's also true. And as you probably already know, the truth will liberate you. What am I talking about? Part of you expected the betrayal. Part of you knows who this person is. So you really can't act all surprised, but part of you don't respect yourself enough to actually select or hold out for the right person. This is real talk, and that's why it hurts. None of us are immune to this. Self-deception is a very common problem. So do yourself a big favor and use the hurt that you're going through as some sort of cathartic, shall we say, medicine that can help you achieve better self-esteem and possibly transform your self-image so you can attract people who are actually good for you. I know this is not going to happen overnight, but it has to start somewhere. What is the meaning of a dream of betraying someone? A lot of the times, as I mentioned earlier, when you see yourself betraying somebody, it can be a projection. So your subconscious is very tricky in the way it frames symbols. But when you see yourself betraying someone, a lot of this is your insecurity regarding your own worthiness as far as trust and love go. As the old saying goes, the best defense is a good offense. So a lot of people have basically resigned themselves to thinking that I'd rather hurt somebody than somebody hurting me. I'd rather beat them to it. This is your insecurity talking. This is the part of you that refuses to grow up. This is the part of you that is still engaged in by maybe self-victimization or is crippled by some sort of guilt. Whatever the case may be, when you see yourself betraying somebody, that act actually speaks more about your opinion of yourself and your worthiness as a person. Believe it or not, you are worth loving. Believe it or not, you are special. The question is, are you willing to first love yourself, or are you going to keep begging, pleading, or hungering for the validation from others and setting yourself up for a letdown time and time again? You can only give what you have, and if you don't respect or love yourself, how can you expect other people to do the same? You have to make the first move. And your subconscious is using a very emotionally packed and urgent dream symbol sequence in the form of you betraying someone to get this point home. Is dreaming about betrayal the same as dreaming about cheating? Betrayal is actually much broader than cheating. Cheating is just the sexual dimension. Although it is very deep and substantive, it just takes up a relatively tiny slice of the wide range of interpretations involving betrayal. Because if you talk to people behind their backs, that's a form of betrayal. If you knowingly give somebody the impression that you think a certain way about them when in reality you're thinking the precise opposite, that is betrayal. Betrayal is broader because it gets closer and closer to the general overarching topic of lying. Another way you can betray somebody is when you say that you're a good friend of that person, and you give off signals that you are truly loyal to that person and have their best interest in mind, when at the same time, you are making their self-delusion worse. You're telling them stuff that they want to hear. A good friend tells the truth, even if it hurts. Why? Because you really care about your friend. You want your friend to snap out of it, or at least get a grip on reality so that friend becomes better. You're betraying your friendship when you become part of this chorus of people that feed into and enable that person's denial or self-delusion. You're not doing anybody any favors, because let's flip the script. Would you like somebody to do that to you? They know that you're in for a hard crash sooner or later. Would you want them to continue to enable you in this form of self-lying, self-deception, and self-fraud? Probably not. So when you see yourself betraying somebody or being betrayed by other people, don't think about cheating. That's a separate issue. Focus instead on betrayal in its broadest form. Can dreams predict the future when it comes to betrayal? The good news about betrayal dreams is that for the most part, they are not prophetic. Unlike characters from the Bible that can predict certain events, because that's the same symbols that played out in their dreams, dreams dreams generally are not predictive. Instead, they speak deep and profound truths about central themes in your life. Maybe you are too busy. Maybe you're too self-deluded. Maybe you are in a toxic relationship and there's all sorts of emotional turbulence. Whatever the case may be, there's a lot of things going on in your waking life that are clouding your vision. And as a result, you really can't see the big issues, the things that can help you get into more mature and productive relationships. This is why your dreams this is why your subconscious used symbols in your dreams. What is the meaning of a dream of betrayal coming from a dead friend? This is one of the more unusual dreams that you could have, and a lot of people wake up screaming or in a cold sweat when they have this kind of dream. Because, first of all, you are dealing with somebody that you know is already dead. And this person is backstabbing you, talking behind your back, setting you up for a fall. What your subconscious is trying to tell you is that you have unresolved issues regarding your past, not necessarily about that dead friend or relative, but about your past. This usually happens to people who let their past define them. Let me be clear. All of us are imperfect. All of us make mistakes. And if you're going to continue to beat yourself up because you said the wrong thing or did the wrong thing and there were all sorts of disastrous consequences in the past, it's never going to end, because you have allowed yourself to become a prisoner of your past. Maybe you've let your failures define you. Maybe you're so paralyzed about making the same mistakes as the past that you're actually just paralyzed and unable to dream anymore. So do yourself a big favor. If you see this dream of a dead friend betraying you, it's time to be more mindful about your relationship with your personal narrative. Who do you define? Who do you think you are? Who do you define yourself as? Now, the next question is quite simple. Is it accurate? Is it based on facts? Or is it based on your overly negative interpretation of your past? What is the meaning of a dream of betrayal by a famous person? When you see this type of dream, you're basically confronting your values. Famous people are famous for a reason, because we impute or project a lot of our hopes, wishes, dreams, insecurities, and whatnot onto them. This is one of the most symbolic betrayal dreams you could ever have. And if you realize that there's this famous celebrity or dead historical figure that betrayed you, you are confronting your subconscious projection of your relationship with your values. This is actually a fairly healthy dream to have because it's a reminder to ourselves that maybe our daily waking lives and our current reality no longer line up with the values that we say to other people we believe in. And if that's the case, then maybe it leads to all sorts of inner conflict, a sense of confusion, a sense of loss of direction. Let me put it this way. If a company doesn't have a clear mission and vision statement, the chances of it just floundering increase tremendously. A lot of people think that a floundering company that just barely breaks even is good enough. After all, most companies are like that. That's fine if that's the kind of existence you're looking for. But I'm sure you don't just want to survive. You also want to thrive. And unfortunately, if you are unclear about your personal mission, vision statement, it's very easy to get lost. It's very easy to get the feeling that you're just basically living your life, chasing your tail, going around in circles. If you were to ask me, that's not much of an existence. What is the meaning of a dream of betrayal by a group? When you see this dream motif, you are confronting your subconscious ideas regarding themes like acceptance, belonging, identity within a group, and connection. There's a part of you that's very insecure, like most of us. There's always this tendency in the general human psyche to go along, to get along, or to get along, to go along. In other words, we conform. Deep down inside, it doesn't make sense to us, but we'll just go with the flow because we don't want to stick out. In our heads, we're thinking, nails that stick out are the ones that get hammered down. So why bother? Let's just be another face in the crowd. But deep down inside, you know that's not right. You know that's wrong because you were put on this earth to be you. There's only one of you. Why are you wasting your time trying to be like everybody else? So this is the conflict. And for some people, this is a bigger deal, especially if you're a creative or artistic type of person. Eventually, one of the biggest breakthroughs you will have in your artistic career is to find your own voice. But even if you are not in the creative industry or in a creative field, you still have to become your own person. If you feel betrayed by a group because you were lied to through a conspiracy, it's like as if everybody's gaslighting you at the same time. Your subconscious is trying to send you a clear message regarding finding your own path, identifying, acknowledging, and finally embracing and celebrating your own personal truth. What does it mean to dream of being betrayed by your spouse? Whether you're married or not, you can still you can still experience this type of dream. This dream really speaks to covenants, commitment, and dedication. Believe it or not, a lot of the times, this dream has nothing to do with your actual relationship. Instead, it's talking about your ability to commit when it comes to your work, your business, your creative activities. You have to understand that a lot of people love to complain. They like to paint themselves as some sort of victim. But in reality, the reason why they're struggling, the reason why they fail to live up to their fullest potential or really explore their creative space is because they are afraid to fully commit. They feel that if they commit, there's a risk that they may just be losing their time, wasting their time because there's a better path forward. So what do? They half-ass it. They quote unquote commit to certain things with half a heart. And that's just putting it charitably. In fact, a lot of people trying to play it safe by stretching themselves thin among a wide range of commitments, and that's why they don't achieve much of anything. This is what this type of dream is speaking to, because you are spreading yourself out, and it's no surprise that you feel tired, you feel stressed, you feel overwhelmed. Commit. Narrow things down. Maybe instead of doing 25 things, focus on maybe 2 or 3. This way you would have less regrets, because when you pour everything into those things, it could be a goal, it could be a personal dream, it can be a relationship, and things work out because of your focus, you have achieved something. Now, please understand that this is no time to compare. So for some people, an achievement is building a multi-billion-dollar company. That's great if that's your values. For other people, it's about being the best parent possible. That's great too, if those are your values. The key is to identify your values, be honest about them, and then focus when it comes to the commitments and dedication and obligations that you have. A little bit of honesty when it comes to yourself goes a long way. Thank you for watching this video from exploreyourdreamlife.com. Please click the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. Please share this video. If you would like a customized, personalized dream interpretation, let us know in the comments section. What does it mean to dream of being betrayed violently? There's a scene from the classic William Shakespeare play, Julius Caesar. Caesar famously says, as he lay dying, "You too, Brutus." This is the classic scene of betrayal because it's paired with violence. But your subconscious works in terms of contrast. If you see yourself being betrayed violently, there's some blood being drawn or a gun being pointed, relax. This is not a prediction. You're not going to get stabbed in the back in the worst way possible. Instead, your subconscious is using violent imagery to let you know that your trust issues and self-deception conflicts are dangerously bubbling to the surface, and they cannot be ignored anymore. It's as if your subconscious is desperately trying to come up with the most attention-grabbing way, the grabbing words and imagery to get you to take action. Don't ignore these types of dreams. You didn't just have a nightmare. You have a lot of work to do. Focus on the right things. Otherwise, you may not like the consequences. What does it mean to dream of being betrayed by parents? Nobody asked to be born. The reason why you're here is because your parents made certain decisions. Whether they planned you or not doesn't matter. They made decisions, and you are the consequence of those decisions. Just based on that logic, it naturally flows that they have certain obligations to you. The fact that you exist means that they have a certain commitment to you, unless they put you up for adoption. When you see yourself being betrayed by your parents, maybe they lied to you and it put you in a very tight spot, or worse yet, they somehow, quote unquote, sold you in your dream. Listen and pay attention. Your dream has nothing to do with your parents. This is a projection of your subconscious ability to create your own reality. You have let yourself down. You are your own father. You are your own mother. And guess what? You have let yourself down because maybe you compromised. Maybe you know that in the beginning you have so much potential, and for whatever reason you drop the ball and you say to yourself, I'm only going to go this far, or I'm only this small and I'm weak and powerless and voiceless. What your subconscious is telling you is that maybe the reason why you are profoundly unhappy or dissatisfied in certain areas of your life is because you refuse to be a true parent to yourself. You shirk your responsibilities. Much like an absent father just goes to the store to get some milk and disappears from your life, you have abandoned yourself. This is your subconscious screaming at you, calling you into action, and calling you to battle. Because you have a lot of inner demons, and these demons don't have fangs. They don't have goat horns and a long tail and a pitchfork. No, these demons are familiar day-to-day, shall we say, goblins that drag you down and hold you back. I'm talking about laziness, small-mindedness, the tendency to put things off. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's precisely the problem. You already know what you need to deal with, but for whatever reason, you can't seem to find the courage. Maybe you feel you're too busy. Maybe you feel that you stretch yourself too thin, taking care of other people. Cut it out. Those are just excuses. Now is the time to take action. What does it mean to dream of being betrayed by a boss? When you have this type of dream, your subconscious is trying to send you messages regarding authority. A lot of people think that they are their own boss. They believe that they know the right way forward. They believe that they know what's in their best interest. And they feel that as long as they're given enough freedom, or they have enough freedom, things will work out for them. In reality, what your subconscious is trying to show you through this dream motif is that you have a tough time properly using your freedom. A lot of Americans like to talk big about freedom of choice. Seriously, ask a typical American regarding what type of freedom they would like, and they would tell you in your face, I would like freedom of choice. But in reality, as far as their day-to-day lives and behavior actually go, they want freedom from choice. You see, when you have too much choice, you shut down. Because you enter into this decision-making paradox called analysis paralysis. You have so many choices in front of you that you're so paralyzed about making a less than optimal choice that you limit your choices. You don't experiment. You don't play with things until they break. Instead, you just focus on an option that is somewhat satisfactory, but in the back of your head, you know that it isn't optimal. But you stick with it because it's familiar to you. And you're feeling that maybe if I keep experimenting, I'm just going to be wasting my time. I'm not getting much of a return on effort. So you stick with the tried and proven, and now you are miserable. At the very least, you're not fully content. Do yourself a big favor. Start looking at things from perspective. First principles. What I mean by that is don't assume that you already know. Allow yourself to be curious again, just like a child, and you'll be surprised as to how much more optimal your life will be, because now you're not dealing with your preconceptions. You're focusing on what works optimally right here, right now. Does dreaming of betrayal mean it will happen in real life? As I keep repeating in this interpretation, just because you dreamed of betrayal doesn't mean that it is prophetic. Instead, focus on the symbolism and the context of those symbols so you can get to the deeper psychological and emotional meaning of your dreams. A lot of the times, the betrayal is really just your subconscious trying to draw your attention to something more important. How do you stop dreams of betrayal? To stop dreams of betrayal, practice mindfulness. When you are more mindful, you become more self-aware. When you become more self-aware, you are able to relax sufficiently so as to critique how you define things, how you set up your relationships, or how you view yourself in relationships. And eventually, this level of honesty will enable you to deconstruct or even dismantle a lot of your old mindset. And this it can pave the way for you to setting more realistic expectations. And ultimately, that is the solution to betrayal. Remember, you're not going to be let down or feel betrayed if your expectations are set properly.